And when within that faith there lives the Spirit, life of light, and it envelopes the soul, and through it, an intense warmth of love arises, together with the pure feeling of truth and the desire for justice, in such a way that this faith, so intense in itself, merges us with the very essence of the Father, because it elevates us unto Him, making us participants in the divine attributes, and grants us everything that exists in God, to the extent that the intensity and purity of our faith can reach. With the guidance that the Messiah now presents to us, he is teaching us how the powers of God surrounded him to support the great work entrusted to him by the Father. This is explained in the video Messiah 04, where he teaches that he himself produced no miracle, but rather that the person who was loving the painful situation of their own life received light within their spirit through a single word explaining the kingdom of God. Through reasoning, that person was able to perceive the feeling of the soul, the love that united them with the Father, and by affinity between their soul and God, the powers, the spirits of God, carried out the healings and delivered his law. The means by which the Father manifested himself at that moment was precisely because he was an instrument in the hands of God. Through him, the necessary spiritual help from God reached the one in need, and the light shone upon him, as we were told in the video Messiah 01. The Messiah now affirms what will happen within us when we are sincere with ourselves and, through the individual freedom of our spiritual being, we decide to follow his teachings, elevating ourselves toward them through reasoning and love for the Father. He tells us that if we truly believe that his teachings come from the Father, a feeling will be formed within us, the grace of all the light of truth that comes from the absolute love of God, because his teachings are the reflection of that love. They are his very essence expressed in human words. The Messiah told us in the video Universal Religion 08 that the religion of love, the religion of God, the universal religion, is the absolute love of the Creator, which is always above all created things, above all beings. It is the divine impulse that leads every particle that emerged from his divine essence towards spiritual perfection, so that it may become part of creation. If we have grasped this feeling, we are ready to study, analyze, understand, and assimilate that his absolute love is divine energy that is above all that is created. In this way, it drives everything that exists toward its perfection, including every particle of our physical body and every particle of our spiritual being, our soul and our spirit. Through this love that reaches us continuously, we enjoy a divine intelligence that we use within our spirits to reason, meditate, analyze, and compare. It manifests as if it were nature itself, granting us these faculties. Yet it is the absolute love that allows all beings who emerged from its creative spiritual source to exist, respecting our evolutionary level, our spiritual level, our freedom, and our way of believing and thinking. For it knows what we have learned in our past lives, which is reflected in the development of the character each of us manifests as human beings. We must assimilate that without the absolute love of the Father, individual intelligence would have no progress whatsoever. This is the very reason to love him ceaselessly, living through his perfect love. It is through this teaching that true faith in the absolute love of the Father elevates us. For this reason, he now tells us, and when within that faith there lives the Spirit, life of light, and it envelopes the soul, and through it, an intense warmth of love arises, together with the pure feeling of truth and the desire for justice. If we have understood this reasoning, if our soul is united with this divine energy with which the Messiah illuminates us, we will perceive that faith, and our spirit will feel that it lives a life of light, wrapped in it. For the shadows and ignorance disappear from our spirits, and we become certain through this feeling that the word comes from God, brought by the Messiah. This word will cause to spring forth within our soul a warmth, a pure feeling of being in truth, of our spiritual reality, the pure feeling of truth that we are receiving God's love in the form of words. And within us will arise the desire to live our lives with justice, order, balance, and harmony. And when the Messiah tells us, so that this faith, so intense in itself, merges us with the very essence of the Father, because it elevates us unto Him, making us participants in the divine attributes. It is at this moment that we are enveloped by protective angels, angels of wisdom and light, just as they surrounded the incarnated Messiah Jesus. They enhance the feeling of our soul, leading us to experience intense faith, to feel that we are merged with the very essence of the Father, with the essence of His Word, making it our own. In humility, supported by these spiritual forces, we experience unity in God, because He elevates us unto Him, and it is in this moment that He makes us participants in His divine attributes. In the video Universal Religion 10, the Messiah already told us that the universal religion, the religion of God, is the one that will teach us the attributes of God. This becomes a reality within us when we feel intense faith in our soul, now experiencing unity with the Father. He adds, and grants us everything that exists in God, to the extent that the intensity and purity of our faith can reach. It is by feeling this warmth of love in the soul that we will receive the wisdom of all that exists in God. However, we will not receive entirely new knowledge, nor will our minds be dazzled by ideas beyond our understanding. Rather, our spirits will be illuminated according to the knowledge learned in our past lives, knowledge that aligns with the truth we already possess and with our way of being. We will be illuminated with the greatest light we are able to assimilate, and our walk through life will be guided by the love of God in the form of light, just as the Messiah was illuminated when He lived among us in the body of the man called Jesus. Now we can use the human term vibrational affinity, and we can give the following example. In order to tune into a television news channel and watch it at home, we must tune our TV receiver to the frequency that corresponds to that channel. The simplest way to understand the law of vibrational affinity is by tuning a TV channel. For example, channel number 10 on the television tunes into the same frequency as the broadcasting station transmitting remotely on channel 10. In the same way, since God is absolute love, our soul must vibrate with love in order to tune into the frequency of God's love. This happens when we love the Father through things, through people, through problems, and through needs. Through the spiritual channel of the soul, tuned to God's love, we will receive from the Father everything we need: spiritual information to live human life illuminated by divine light, just as it was with Messiah Jesus when He was incarnated in a physical body. The body of knowledge that comes at this time from the Father, once reasoned and assimilated, is what makes us feel true faith. And if we live life in this faith, reasoning everything we are taught or told, our eternal spiritual progress is guaranteed without the need to suffer. This is the salvation promised by the divine clouds that the Messiah brings to us from the Father.